Everybody. I am here. I am here. Everybody everywhere. How are y'all doing? Today is going to be a quick stream. We're not going to get too much into this tonight. Not tonight. Uh, Angel's Envy, Triple Oak, whiskey out there for everybody. Lincoln Henderson. That's about an $80 bottle out there. Real talk. Top shelf whiskey. Get my shot together. Hope everybody enjoyed themselves out there. I hope today was a splendid, a wonderful day. Y'all had a good time. Wasn't too many pressures under your under your roof of love. Don't mind me tonight. I'm a little tipsy. I've been sipping. I've been drinking. It's every day, y'all see. You know, when you get home, you want to let your head down a little bit. It is what it is. I was told I got to be charismatic when I'm in front of the camera. So, hey, just what you get. So today, we took one trade. I had a very busy day. I got to work at like 5 a.m. And I was basically working by myself. We let somebody go about a month ago. Guy running on colored people time, CP time, and taking advantage of the system. We work 5 to 5. I'm a trucker. I fuel locomotive engines with diesel. These engines have to leave at a specified time. Got to be on schedule every day. So, with that being said, we can't delay our personal lives to get to work or delay our professional times because of our personal times. You know what I'm saying? Personal life. Individual come to work. He would make the work some days at about 8 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock. I've been there since 5 o'clock. I'm well so-and-so. I'm not the type to call an individual to see if they coming to work. I'm calling the head. I'm calling the management, people that I need to contact to figure out, am I working by myself today, so I can know if I'm about to use both trucks to fill up these engines. Because for me, that's perfect. If all I got to do is basically dump my truck, my tanker, come back, grab the other tanker, I can get the specific engine out the yard. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to run to the refinery, fill up, and then come back and anticipate you coming to work when you ain't. If you ain't coming, then it is what it is. You don't have to tell me. I'm not going to call you to figure it out at all. This was going on for about a month and some change. It got to the point that with my supervisor would contact him, he wouldn't call. He'd just show up to the yard and just proceed to work. My supervisor telling me to tell him when he get there to tell him to call him. Like, if he ain't responded when you called them, then that's more than enough that needs to be said. Long story short, they dropped him, got him out of there. At about 1 p.m., so we start at 5. At 1 p.m., let him work the majority of the day. Showed up, told him, yeah, you can leave them all your material and stuff like that, and good luck to you and your endeavors. Sent them on his way. With that being said, we are short-staffed. We have what we call floaters. Now, a floater, he works multiple yards. He don't work just my yard. me stop the music. He works multiple locations when necessary, when needed. He'd show up, do his, shift, and if he's needed elsewhere, then the next day or whatever the case, he'd go there. So the other yard hired two people for positions. These two people went through orientation, went through training, got their cards for the refineries, and then quit literally right after they got ready to get on board and start their positions. So the floater that's supposed to be helping me, that's filling in for the guy we just let go, is now filling in for those two slots, one of those two slots, basically. So, with that being said, I work first shift, 5 to 5 p.m., 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. The counterpart that relieves me from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., they had to move one of them to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to assist both positions, the first shift and the third shift. So, with that being said, I'm busting my ass from 5 to 9 until he shows up, because I got to do the most strenuous work during those hours, because that's the crunch time for the bulk of our work between those hours. So this morning I didn't really get a good, opportunity to jump into the market, to see some things, pay attention to some things, because as soon as I got to work, I hit the ground running just so I could get ahead. All that just to say that. So we got one trade that we're watching today. And that trade, I just had to open the trade just so I could have some content for tonight. So if I didn't have you guys to sit in front of, I probably wouldn't even have opened this trade. But I opened the trade just so we could, go live and sit down and discuss things tonight. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's see. Give me a second. Phone blowing up, people contacting me offline, but that's here nor there. Got nothing to do with this. So let's look at the first recap, the only recap. This should be a short and sweet and simple day. Okie dokie. Let's get that out of this so y'all ain't all in my business. Oh wow. That's the lie. Let's get out of that. What are my videos? How you see? So because it's live, it's not gonna let me show the streams again. Let's figure this out. How do I see my the feeds again, people? So I'm live on Instagram. It's not gonna actually let me click. There we go. There we go. That out. All right. So the company Skyline Builders Group Holding. Now, their news was, I believe, a dividend or something like that they offered. No, like a private placement or something. Yeah. So they did a private placement of 17.70. It was like 18.5, but the reports were ambiguous. So 17.75, 775 in terms of shares that they wanted to actually get some offering for. Now, I told you guys, I'll tell you this several times. This is one of my headlines that I look for. This is how a company requests investment. They request funds from investors by putting out a private placement, offering shares, ownership of a company for a specified amount, and investors just attract to it. They run to it. They take an advantage of it, mainly because there's like a specified dollar amount, or in this case, a cent amount that they say that they're offering the shares for. I think it was like 70 some cent. With that being said, the price shot up to about $1 and some change. Let's see what it was. Price shot as high as $1.05 or $1.07. Let's see what this high was. $1.07 throughout the day. Pre-market is shot up to as high as 88 cents. But it closed at 69 cents. So 69 cents was the pre-market high. I'm always going to repeat this every day. Number one that I look for, company with a low float, less than about 20 million. So they got 9.26 million shares that they're offering outstanding for people to purchase. This is important because think of a water balloon. I always give you this analogy. The amount of people squeezing, or the amount of pressure squeezing a water balloon, think of that water balloon just expanding before it bursts. That water balloon, the size of that water balloon is just the outstanding shares. The volume, which is 103 million shares, is the amount of pressure that somebody's putting on that water balloon, squeezing it until it erupts. So we got 9.26 million shares available to be bought and traded on the market, but 103 million of them were bought. So that amount of pressure just causes that poof, that burst of that water balloon. That is what you observe when you see a price spike 100+%. How many people gravitate to something at one time? It's like people trying to buy some Jordans. And the line is down the block. But you know there's a specific amount of shoes on the shelf. It's going to cause chaos. Or even Black Friday. There's a certain amount of televisions, because when they do Black Friday sales, they take all of the electronics, the big ticket items that they know people are going to buy, and they take them off the shelves and they put them on the floor so that you don't need assistance to get to them. You can run in the store and literally hit the floor running and throw it in the cart. This is what you are observing. Just think of that mayhem and that chaos. If there was 9 TVs but 103 people wanted to buy them, or 9 size 12 and a halves, and 103 people was trying to get them at the same time, how much madness you are going to observe, as we have seen throughout the years, just from history of the time and time again as this shit plays out. People fighting over a pair of shoes or a television or a PS5 or an Xbox One, iPhone 75, whatever. This is what happens when that many people attempt to purchase stock. The price goes mayhem. It goes bonkers. So during that moment in time, we want to be in the line. We don't care who gets what, but we just want to get in where we fit in. I tell you guys all the time, it's like taking a cup, sticking it in the fountain. All I want to do is pull out a couple of gold coins. That's it. I'm not trying to put a duffel bag out or a tote. I'm not trying to drag it out. You know what I'm saying? But this is what occurs when you got 103 million people buying 9 million supplied units of something. So that's one with the the outstanding float size of the shares. Two, the volume, which was there. Three, there has to be news, which we had with the private placement. I told you guys this is one of my headlines I look for. Four, the stock has to show some type of effort to break pre-market highs or have broken pre-market highs, which we see it has done. And from there, you just run it up. You take what you can and you move on. You don't sit and bag hold, as we call it. You don't try to see how high something's going to go. You take your twos and fews, get your base runs, your base hits, your singles, your doubles. And my boy, D'Angelo, I appreciate you. But you take your twos and fews and you run. You get what you can. The goal of trading is consistency. Can I every day get in the market and be profitable? Time and time again, people try to hit these specific patterns and different, strategies that they think if it's oversold or it's overbought, how they think something is going to play out. Whatever works for you is what works for you. For me, I trade stocks explicitly, specifically, ideally. That's preferred for me. I don't trade options or anything like that. I'm into the stocks because I understand price action. I understand what I'm seeing. We traded this at about 1 o'clock, somewhere around here. So we missed this move, but as well, when I saw that this ticker was all the way up here, which would be one of my main catalysts as well. We want to look at stocks that are in the top 1 through 7 in terms of the percent gainers for the day. This was one of the peaks, one of the highest percent gaining stocks for the day. So what was it? The stock 53 cents. For this stock to peak at about $1.05, for this stock to peak at about $1.05, $1.07, that's 107, that's 100+%. So every day if you +%. So every day if you pay attention, that's the pattern. We're looking for stocks jumping 70, 80, 90%. Because all we're trying to take is 5, 10, 15, 20, 30%. We're not trying to hit that 100% rally. 1 o'clock. I was watching this early once it actually broke pre-market highs, but I couldn't trade it because I was working, like I said, once it broke. So then I started setting up these uptrends because you want to set up multiple uptrends. Think of like the RPM on a car. And you step on the gas and it vroom, and it starts going down after you take your foot off the gas. This is the representation of that when you start seeing those trend lines. This is the representation of that when you start seeing those trend lines fall. You start seeing momentum actually lose its breath. It ran up so much, so quick, it hit a peak. Now it's actually pulling back. We just don't know at what point in time are they going to step back on the gas, because it could be like in traffic. You're just coasting. Now you're behind the car bumper to bumper. You don't want to keep your foot on the gas. You typically will rest your foot above the brake just in case the car stops in front of you. You don't hit the gas, hit the ass of the car in front of you. You hit the brake so you can abruptly stop if necessary. So when we are watching the market, as we see it pull back and the peak of the price actually starts leveling out, we are actually in that mindset. I'm watching people hit the brakes because now price is, the momentum is dying down. It ran up so far. And at what point in time will the traffic start moving again where I can hit the gas and start following the car again in front of me so I can keep up with the pace of traffic? Think of that same mindset with stocks. So at this point, when you started seeing it spike up like this, you see like momentum really took off, which they did. It went parabolic. It went from 73 cents within these three candles up to 107. And then it sold off for the next three candles after that from 107 all the way back down to 76 cents, 74 cents, 1 cent above where it began. And then it started leveling out. So at this point, we got in at about 1 o'clock once we actually started seeing higher highs and higher lows, because we in our mind was preparing to see if at all it would attempt to retest the previous high of the day, which was up here, this 106, 107 range. But because of the actual MACD down here being so consistent on a bearish type of momentum as it's pulling back, we were going to only take a small position size in as well, because I was so swamped with work I couldn't take a major size. So I purchased 600 shares at about 75, 76 cents, about $300 some dollars. Well, 6 times 7, 420, 430, something like that, 430 of a position size. Didn't want to take no major position. Something that I wasn't going to be emotional about. And as well, like I said, I just wanted content. So after we got this pop, after we saw this major sell-off right here, and we saw these candlesticks start building up, we saw them pull back, and then they built this higher low right here. After they built this higher low and then retested, we got in as we saw a higher high build, because then we started looking at a new uptrend.